Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and yesterday I made a video called Refuting Anarcho-Capitalism. Now, I need to apologise because I didn't go out and research something that I said. And this is about EA. I pretty much stated that EA has never been affected by the free market, when in fact they have. Mr. Dapperton pointed it out. He said, "It's funny you mention EA. Didn't they lose $3 billion for pissing off the market via microtransactions? If they lost $3 billion, clearly the market is controlling them. If EA continues to do what they do, they will go out of business forever." So, Mr. Dapperton is actually right in this. EA did lose $3 billion, but that's only about 5%. You want to run EA out of business, they have to fuck up like this 20 times, at least. But then there's also the thing of, why hasn't it been working for the past 5 years? People have known that EA is shitty for at least 5 years, and still EA's stock prices have actually been rising consistently, despite them being shitty. And also loot boxes. This whole thing was sparked only because someone mentioned it on Reddit and only because EA responded. Okay, maybe it might have still happened if EA hadn't have responded, but still, it was because this person mentioned it. Other games still have loot boxes and they're still going good. This is a prime example of why regulation can be used, because governments are trying to regulate the whole thing with loot boxes. They're trying to class it under gambling. So, if we write regulation to prevent loot boxes, that protects the consumer. But Mr. Dapperton doesn't believe in regulation. He thinks that regulation is bad. And so this video is going to talk about regulation and monopolies. And it's going to take points from his Anarcho-Capitalism video. So this is part 2.
Another argument that statists make goes along the lines of, well, if the government doesn't regulate businesses, then what will stop them from exploiting their workers as well as the consumer? Yeah, they love using that word exploit. It doesn't really mean anything, but it sounds bad.
What do you mean that it doesn't mean anything? You can just search the word on Google and it says, the first definition is make full use of and derive benefit from a resource. Alright? And the second definition is the one that they're using, is make use of a situation in a way that is considered unfair or underhand. And that's the one that they're using.
See, the thing is, in an anarcho-capitalist society, you get to vote with your dollars. So if a company starts to be unethical towards its workers or gouges prices, then all you have to do is support its competitors or stop buying from them. And they will either have to correct this behavior or go under.
Two things. First thing is, what if that company has a monopoly? You can't shop anywhere else, you've got to go to that company. Second thing, what if they're outsourcing work to China? Let me ask you a question. What companies have you boycotted because they're outsourcing work to China? Not many people go ahead and boycott companies because of that, because it's such a normal practice. And you're saying that anarcho-capitalism will suddenly fix that? I kind of doubt that.
And of course workers will be free to work elsewhere. If someone's not giving their workers good conditions or the pay they deserve or whatever, there will be a financial incentive for a competing businessman to offer them a job with better pay and conditions.
True, but what about those people that are making nothing? Absolutely nothing. Then they'll work wherever they have to make any sort of money. Whether it be 2 cents an hour, they will work there, no matter what. And this means that the company that is paying their workers not that much will be able to severely undercut the competition and run them out of business, because their workers are willing to work there just to make money. And businesses know this.
By the way, don't let them snow you. We don't have a problem with people getting together and voluntarily forming labor unions. We're all for free association, and unions that were set up in the past like this offered their workers a lot of benefits, including health benefits, unemployment insurance, and many others.
We only object when government monopolizes it. They only allow one particular union to exist in the industry, and they force all workers in the industry to join. But then what incentive do those unions have to make their workers happy or feel they're getting value for their dues?
I like unions too. I think unions are great. But here's an idea. What if you take tax money from a company and use it to fund unions using government? Wouldn't that make the union more effective? If someone's not making enough money to effectively pay into a union so that they can get perks from the union, wouldn't taking tax money from a company make that union better? I think it really would help. And also with a government, regulation can be written to make unions more effective at resolving problems within a workplace.
Another argument that gets used alongside is, well, government regulation is simpler and more effective than the free market regulating itself, when in reality the government puts out thousands of new regulations a day that generally benefit those who lobby for said regulations.
Take a look at the Federal Register. Each business day, the federal government publishes all of the regulations that just went into effect, all of the regulations that take effect in that day. Here's a page from the one for November 20th, 2017. Look at how small the type is. And this is 278 pages long, not counting things like the table of contents. If this were typeset like a novel, it would be over 1,100 pages.
These things generally have 1,000 words a page, and it's common to have 200 pages or more. Let's do some math. 200 words in new regulations every day. Average adult reading speed in the US is about 300 words per minute. So that would take the average adult over 11 hours just to read the new regulations that went into effect just the previous day. And they would have to do it all over again the next day.
I get what you're saying here. But here's an idea. What if we just simplify the regulations down? I mean, on that page that you're displaying there, literally some of it is how do you leave a comment to the government for regulations? And what they should do is they should just have a link there which says, okay, click here to go and leave a comment. If you want to leave a comment by the mail, just send it to this address and shit. That would be a lot simpler than what they've written. It honestly would. So shouldn't we just be lobbying for simpler regulations rather than lobbying to get rid of regulations? I think that would be a much better idea.
Now, you're probably going to point out that many of these regulations won't apply to your business. That's true. But how are you going to know which regulations don't apply without reading it? So, tell us, statist, how is thousands of new regulations a day more simple than not supporting unethical behavior and letting that company go out of business?
A vast majority of these regulations probably won't affect your business at all. And even if it is they're affecting your business, if you've got an ethical business which doesn't try and screw people over, none of these regulations will affect your business. These regulations are here to control businesses that do try and screw people over, not the ones that are working ethically.
Now, your biggest question is probably what will prevent monopolies from forming in Capitalism? The truth is, the only thing that makes monopolies is government. Big business influences law and writes law via lobbying. Basically, government's handing out monopolies to whichever big company has money. See, that's what happens when you have rulers. Rulers will always sell you out for money. Without government, there's no way for monopolies to form.
Do you seriously think that you need a government to form a monopoly? There has been a case where a monopoly was formed on wood because one company was supplying wood, and so they made a whole lot of deals with all these companies which would build houses and stuff like that, so that those companies would use their wood. So that company got a monopoly on wood. So other businesses which didn't have the money to make these deals couldn't compete.
If there's no government, there's no rulers. And if there's no rulers, everybody's on an equal playing field.
You do realize that having more money than someone else isn't an equal playing field, right?
Imagine we're in an anarcho-capitalist society and you have the only fidget spinner company. You have a monopoly on fidget spinners. Now, I'm a smaller company and I want to make fidget spinners too and steal the crap out of your monopoly. What are you going to do to stop me? Go ahead, I'll wait.
I would make big deals with retailers so that you can't sell your fidget spinners in the retailers. Therefore, you would have a very big disadvantage of selling fidget spinners. Then what I'd do is I'd undercut your prices so that my fidget spinners sell a lot better than yours. If you try and undercut them, I'll just undercut mine again. Because I've got more money than you, I can do this much more effectively than you can until I run you out of business.
Do. There's nothing you can do.
Having seen this video, there was something that you just say after this. Right after you say there's nothing you can do.
Now, a common argument is that the monopoly will just buy off any competitors that spring up.
See? I know you're trying to refute it, but that's something you can do.
But if your business is at all successful, it'll be really attractive to competitors. How can you buy them all off without going bankrupt? Even if you tried, all it would do is create an incentive for even more competitors. Make a new fidget spinner company, and the monopoly will buy you out. Fast, easy money. Yes, all you'd be doing is creating a market for competitive startups. There's no way that's sustainable. Buy them off and they win. Don't buy them off and they still win.
Or you just make deals with the right people and you win. If you're a monopoly, you have the money to do so. Startups don't.
The truth is, monopolies could only form when there's somebody with a monopoly of power. So without government, that doesn't exist and there's nobody to divvy out power. And if there's no power being divvied out, there's nobody being exploited, and everybody's on an equal playing field. You know, the way it should be.
As I said before, if you've got a lot of money, that gives you the power to make a lot of deals with businesses which ensure you're a monopoly. One last point that I'd like to make is, if we were to switch to an anarcho-capitalist society, how would you plan on getting rid of all the monopolies? I mean, they've got far too much power to be brought down by a simple competition. You'd have to work out a way to get rid of them before you switch to that sort of society. How would you do that? Okay, that's all the points I'm going to mention in this video. I'm going to make one last video about this, which will cover one last point, but that's it for this particular video. Yesterday's video went on for far too long, and I'm just trying to keep this as short as I possibly can. Make sure you go check out Mr. Dapperton's video as well. He does want more people to go and view it, so if you like Mr. Dapperton, go watch his video. I don't know. I've already seen his video a couple times. I'm pretty sure he'll appreciate it. I'm pretty sure Shane, Killian, Listen to Reason, and Hoodie Demon will all appreciate it as well. Leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. If you didn't like it, just leave a dislike and come back to my videos whenever I post one so that you can tell me how much of an idiot I am, because I am planning on making more videos like this. Also, make sure you leave a comment, especially if you disagree with me. Especially if you disagree. The thing that I liked so much about the last video is that people with all sorts of different opinions, like Mr. Dapperton came on and told me how wrong I was, and so that was great to learn about. And that's the point of these videos, to start discussion. So if you disagree with me, that's even more reason you should leave a comment, so that we can start a discussion. And also, if you agree with me and feel as though I missed something, make sure you leave a comment about that as well, so that we can have a discussion about that. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.